wildfires raging across the world once again this summer, alongside catastrophic flooding events. There's increasing awareness of how these sorts of extreme weather events are linked to man-made climate change. I'd like to bring in now Zion Lights, climate activist and co-founder of Emergency Reactor. Thank you very much indeed for speaking to us on France 24 today. To what extent do you think we should be evaluating these sorts of fires, flooding, in terms of global warming?
Well, we've had the latest IPCC report and we've had the UN chief say that this is a code red for humanity. I don't think there should be any doubt about finally acting on what we know is going to be catastrophic for humanity if we don't bring down our rising emissions.
And of course, the COP26 climate summit in Glasgow is now just months away. It begins on the 1st of November. What sorts of commitments are we going to need to hear from world leaders to tackle this in a concrete way?
We need to see governments really working together now. And, this has been happening for a while. We've had the Paris Agreement. There have been some small changes made, but it's not nearly enough. This report is very serious. It tells us that we are now locked in to 1.5 warming. This is going to have huge impacts, on everybody on this planet, all life on this planet. We're looking at 2 meters of sea rise by the end of the century, potentially. They're not even ruling out, 5 meters, So really, we need to finally accept that this is an emergency and respond in the way that we responded to the coronavirus emergency, really, and just put heads together and come up with plans that show how to decarbonize all of these regions, all of the regions in the world. They need to work together and do this. And we really are running out of time now. And this isn't news. People are very upset reading what the IPCC have said, but this is what scientists have been predicting for decades, really. It's all playing out right in front of us. And we have an opportunity to decarbonise. And if you look at France, actually, France is a very good example because thanks to your 70% nuclear energy, you have a very low carbon emissions, lowest in the world, in fact.
And you talk about the need for collective action across global governments. Are you at all optimistic that this is something achievable in the time frame it needs to be achievable to achieve the goals you've just set out?
Well, again, the report, the IPCC report, is very hopeful that it is achievable. It says that if we make these immediate slashes, emissions will go down. We will still feel some of the impacts now, but we knew that would happen anyway. And actually, if you look at the 2018 IPCC report, where they have some mitigation pathways in the energy section, Working Group 3, you can see that they have laid out decarbonisation pathways. All of them include a combination of renewables and nuclear to get off of fossil fuels. And that is the main issue because, that's what's driving our emissions predominantly. And it can be achieved. And as I say, France has achieved it. And I hope that that you stick to that, because I've seen that Macron is kind of now dithering on whether or not to renew nuclear fleets. And it's essential that you do.
Zion Lights, a climate activist and co-founder of Emergency Reactor, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us today.
Thanks very much.
The jailed